Welcome, everybody, to Townhall number 153. It's Q3. We did it halfway through the year. It's July 1st, 2025. And today we are being joined by Daniel, Guillermo, Jeffrey, Max, Rems, and Vanessa. Thanks for joining in. A small crew, but a good crew. So thanks for being on. As you can see on the screen, a little overview of the relatively concise agenda, starting off with a couple of mentions, and then a little update on the governance dashboard by Guillermo. And then I wanted to give a little update on the Q3 consent process retrospective, which took place earlier today, but is also still open to input. If there then is any time remaining, we can have open topics. And a quick reminder on what the ambassador program even is and what we're doing. Basically, we're a group of like-minded people that are all quite in tune with the mission and vision of Singularity Net and its ecosystem, building towards beneficial AGI. And we have a wide range of self-organized work groups that, well, if you're interested in helping out, there is a work group that suits your interests. Do hop onto our Discord server that has a how to join section, and that will explain you how to join. And with that out of the way, two mentions. First one being on I think it's still ongoing currently. It started 45 minutes ago. Pretty interesting DevTalk by Sophiaverse. They have Barry Cook over discussing AIRIS and how this works within Sophiaverse context, but also a more general version also got discussed in the little bit I was able to listen to before this call. I assume within 15 minutes-ish that concludes, and you'll be able to find a recording of that on the Sophiaverse X page. Do check it out. And then I wanted to share that the community page is actually live by now. Will that share properly if I just click it? Seems to be sharing correctly. Yeah, it's live. It's pretty close to the Figma I shared earlier, as intended. There is still a little work to do. Some links. Like I have a little bit of a list of stuff I need to dive into WordPress tomorrow and fix. Like, for example, the join dwork. More on Gitbook with a link to dwork. that level of bugs, I guess, is still there. After tomorrow, this will be way less after I did a full run through. But the devs were so happy on having figured out the calendar syncing issue, which took a full week of sorting out. They just went ahead and pushed it live. I still see I need to clear my cache for it to properly reflect. It is working. Trust me on that. You can actually test it yourself. It's ambassadors.singularitynet.io. And yeah, it was a ton of hassle to get this calendar stuff sorted out. And as you can see, it's still having a bunch of test syncing events. Once I clear my cache, these are gone. And it's simply fetching whatever it needs to fetch. And it's actually working properly. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I thought. As mentioned, there's still a couple of bugs, pretty much. Some things like this page is basically it's based on a design by Deep Funding. They have event categories. We don't. So these buttons for an all hands or a Townhall as a category, just get rid of them. These kind of smaller updates will be happening over the coming days. Yeah, what's there to say? These footer links need updating. The followers buttons are correctly working. These are not. So yeah, these are small things that should be sorted in the next day or two. There is on that note. Scroll. Sorry. Our work groups. That's useful. That's a Discord link. Well, that's on the list as well. Great stuff. That was not what I intended to show. Right. At this stage, I'm not sure how I can even get to the. You have to trust me on this. There are pages for work groups, and yeah, basically this is taken from the Gitbook information. So if you have a specific snippet you feel like you want to have on that website on your workgroup page, simply ping me and I can pretty much put anything you like within reasonable boundaries. But now without getting well, it's pretty annoying. I can't show you that right now, to be honest, because this is just a Discord link. Right.
Looks like there's a bit of like proofreading needed as well. You can find our informations needed on these platforms. What?
Yes, quite correct. That does make me want to check if this is identical from the deep funding page it got copied from. Let me write it on the list as well. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to call out there. If you happen to have any feedback um, on the website, there's on Discord under the I put it for now. It's a temporary channel. I think at least under the research header, a channel called website. Feedback goes there. Alternatively, you can just DM me. Also works. So yeah, that's what I wanted to go out there. And back to full screen. And yeah, that brings us to the first agenda item being. Let me just give permissions an update on the governance dashboard by Guillermo. Not sure if you want to screen share, but if you want, you can.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Pete. Cool. Yeah. Let's share this. So we have some updates. So allow more. Let me get the right screen going on. So this is, I think, last Friday's update. Okay. I see my screen. Last time we did this, so logging in with Discord, already setting up GitHub and Google, but we are mainly focused on also integrating GitHub so we can, as Vani mentioned the other day, take all the advantages of GitHub projects. Let's not create our own Kanban. Let's not create our own board. Let's not create our own GitHub. So GitHub integration is already being worked. And you have to go down and read the whole thing to allow it. So we've been looking on integrations these last 2 days, but this was last week. So previously, Lost was a TV show. TV, remember that? Jose, so everybody can jump in. The link is on the chat again. So we have integrated what are quick actions, recently activities, so we can screen and monitor on that. Upcoming events section and the analytics. This doesn't have back data, so analytics are just fiction, okay, for the moment, till we set up some data. And again, this is all have in consideration governance and our consent process. On the left, you see dashboard proposals. Collaborators, these have some update. So the dashboard or the platform is conceived as a collaboration framework. Whatever we build in that can be used through the ecosystem, it will. So we're taking the advantage of having some good ideas and some blueprints already set up. So we want to enhance communication. So why not having a user that we can integrate chats and like collab work groups to follow up, integrating, as I was mentioning, GitHub projects and all that. And so I think we get some filters going on, so you can filter for your needs, if there are any needs, or for your objectives. If there's an idea of regional, an idea of status, an idea of which work group you're aiming for, skills, specific skills that will go through Tata. And then the possibility to see who is online or not, okay? To shout out with a quick message, okay? But again, we are building this looking forward, okay? Having in consideration mid goal and long-term goals. So proposals, so the sections you see here on the left, we're gonna add to that what are gonna be, so we already have the MDs for what are the sections, but we're gonna amplify the proposal sections with different details and features regarding your role, okay? Again, we want to keep it open for any member to be able to draft a proposal, but then we have organizations section coming in. We have the quarterly report and budget proposal section, which all these quarter reports and proposals are gonna go in, so we can identify them. Work groups and guilds sections, which you will be able to trace all the activity from the dashboard that work groups, members, and guilds develop, so it's needed. And then what we're calling it, what it's for the moment, it's the project playground, and the ability then to create a project within that. So that's why organizations, we can let's say change organization for NUNET or deep funding or ASI or whatever, can become that organization that create a project that becomes so yeah, I have been these last 2 days building the data sets for that, because to create a template, it's kind of easy using some tools. So yeah, working on the back end of that, so we can then later on integrate ASI, powerful tools, agents, and the knowledge graph. That I don't know how much we can go deep on that, but there's some cool stuff going on that is coming from Singularity Net efforts, OpenCog, and other members in regards of knowledge graph and docs. That's pretty damn cool. I have been playing with it and having the ability to integrate all of these tools. It's going to be pretty amazing. So looking forward to see that happening. But for the moment, we are focused on creating these sections, integrations. Then also a big important education about consent. It's going to be a main thing section. And also the script for the short documentary of the development we're doing. I think we're going to push it, I think probably Friday this week, to tell the whole community what we're doing, share it in all channels and blah, blah, and all that. Try to keep it mainly on the development and the governance experiment we are doing, which is pretty cool, with lots of good stuff and a lot of learning process, failures, and good stuff. So yeah, that's going to be coming out by the end of this week. And I think that's it for the moment in this regard.
Nice. Good to see. I was just testing to post a proposal, seeing how live the live feed was actually live, the one on your screen. but you just stopped 1 second too early. But I believe it's working as a live feed.
Yeah, I think it is. And again, the dash here, if you log in with your Discord, you're going to be already on the database. If we need to reset this before final deployment, or whatever is there is going to be erased and have a reboot. And probably we're going to need that. But all the iterations are useful. And Vani already reached out with some ideas on structuring governance. So yeah, so a lot of collaboration throughout work groups and guilds coming for this. And also a treasury section, because that's mostly needed, but we need to figure out some details with Tio on the team.
Yeah, awesome. And there was another way you were making a bit of a documentary there. That's cool to hear.
Yeah, we always discuss what are we doing here? Are we talking enough over the cool stuff we're doing here? Even though we're banging our fingers a lot with a hammer, trying different stuff. And let's not embrace it as a marketing effort. Let's embrace it as a communication effort about community building, ASI, vision and mission. And try to avoid the branding on it and try to talk about the community members and the people around here. Let's see how it will be first chapter. And you're going to be on an AMA probably, or a QA. We're going to make some questions. I don't know how many people are going to turn their camera on, but it will be good, useful. If not, we can do some avatars. Okay, Vani?
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Any questions in the room by any chance? Because we can.
Only what I put in the chat. I'm just feeling like we need to separate the proposals bit. That is kind of about R&D's internal proposal process, isn't it? And I feel like that needs to be separate from the budget consent process, because a workgroup budget isn't a proposal, really. I know kind of we've fallen into that language, but I think it might be a bit of like language interference or something. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's not a proposal, is it?
Indeed. And the same with the other thing that we'll highlight the other day. You see the vote kind of narrative. And
Yeah.
we want to use the consent narrative.
Yeah.
But working with Gabriel, so the idea was to build the architecture for what is a proposal, and add the complexity to the software engineering and the database after that. That's why we kept it. We're working on a section that it's definitely specific quarterly reports and budget proposals. Okay, that we were talking today. To have both.
I don't see how they're proposals, but whatever. Where you'll get voting functionality, they'll have that, won't they? You'll have voting functionality. But
yeah,
I was looking at the layout and sorry, go on.
No, I'm just too close to the answering that. So we're going to have a quarterly iteration as a section, and within as an instance, you will have the quarterly reports and budgets. Definitely is a specific kind of not proposal, but reporting and all of that. So that will be a specific question. Cool. Section also. Yeah.
What I was looking at when I'm sort of drafting you a doc with some ideas now, but I haven't finished it. It's just in terms of like the layout of the consent process bit. I feel like if we try to lay it out so that it emphasizes that it's not a vote and kind of focuses on the, objections that would, cause harm or whatever, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think through how it maybe could look without too many back-end changes or any back-end changes that would emphasize to people what is happening so that they understand it's not a vote process. And then you've got education on consent built in to what you're looking at, haven't you? But obviously it should have voting functionality as well. But I'm wondering, like in the long term, could we build in support for other decision-making processes like consensus and, consultative and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely. And also the other thing that is in the consent process, how important the follow-up on concerns that we were discussing earlier. So
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
focused
yeah.
on that kind of structuring now.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I just freaking sleep of my brain. Yeah, follow up and concern. Oh, it will come back. Yeah, it will come back. I don't know. Sorry.
All good at it. All right. Quick check if there's other questions on the topic before shifting gears. I mean, not really shifting gears, honestly, because it's also about the consent process we did. Let me share screen. There we go. Is it sharing correctly now? I think it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, then the other agenda item basically is oh wait, I do see in chat. Now let's before moving into the next slide, there's a quick question on chat. Is our information going to be public in context of the dashboard?
Yeah, well, Rem, I see you log in the thing, and if you see the collaborators, you can see just the amount of information you want to share. So if you don't include the information, it's not going to be available.
Oh no, but we're thinking also about things like wallet addresses, voting records, consent process records. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
see how you can
definitely.
toggle that. I mean, maybe it needs to be toggleable, but maybe it just needs to be private.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in regards of governance, we are thinking on building our reputation and interactions, just in having a governance in consideration. But how we're going to apply anonymity on it, not. So if you want to keep it anonymous, you wouldn't gather reputation in regards of your interactions or contributions in governance. I believe, so what we are gathering the information in regards of decision making, so this is valuable information. So how members interact, what they support, how they follow up on governance, what decision they do, it's part of the idea of a dashboard to gather that information. So it will be the ideal. It will be that if you go into one of the members' profiles, you can follow up their behavior in regards of governance. But I understand the problems of that for good and for bad. I don't know, but that's a decision that we need to make.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, so it's a quick question, but fully answering it is not a quick process, I feel. All right. Yeah, then moving on to the slide and screen sharing. Earlier today, we had during governance work group, we had a retrospective on the Q3 consent process. Let me copy the link for chat. The Miro board where we did this is still very much open to more people passing by and entering their feedback. And also Rems made a doc version for well, basically accessibility, because not everybody is navigating Miro as easy as others. So that document pretty much has the same outline, asking about what went well, what didn't went well, and what can be improved or suggestions for the future. Yeah, I grabbed a couple. It's not like there's any numbers behind this or any science. It's a bit arbitrary, I guess, but since going over the full session is a bit much, the Read AI recording is in the governance channel for you to find if you want to. But the main positive shot, basically, a lot of people saying the timeline was pretty smooth this time around. And the amount of participation was also good. And was a little bit of discussion around the impact of the quorum here. Whether it did have a good impact, because we did see higher numbers, but there were also questions being raised like, for example, a work group could rally their members just to approve the budget of their own work group. And in that sense, yeah, it would increase the numbers, but that's not really the way we are looking to govern, I guess. So the quorum itself feels like maybe not conclusive. I'm not sure. Yeah, that makes me think. I don't think we established whether or not to do this for the upcoming quarter. So that's still a conversation to be had. Then the main negatives that were mentioned was a recurring thing that not all objections were properly addressed by the work groups. And that in itself is quite a big issue, I personally feel at least. Yeah, the whole process around it is based on objecting if you feel something is going to be harmful. And then to have a work group not address it, that's not good. And well, slightly connected to that, and this was not like a often put forward item, but I do think it's a quite important one, is pretty much all the proposals ended up getting approved in a two-step process. In the first round, there were plenty of objections, but in the second round, and this is partly because of us using a 80-20 rule, like if you manage in the second round to get 80% of the, or rather the other way around, if you don't have more than 20% of objections of all the responses you received, then you get approved. And yeah, well, it was just a quite strong point. I felt like, well, what are we even doing if we just end up approving everything? So that will definitely have to be an upcoming governance topic, I feel. And on suggestions for the future, something that popped up a couple of times was to further improve the reporting. There were also comments being made that the reporting, for certain work groups at least, improved significantly. So, yeah. However, yeah, you can always improve the reporting. And for some instances, it was part of the objections as well. Yeah, and a general comment also tied to that, just the notice that all the work group budgets got approved. Should we revisit the approach to this? Like, if we just end up dragging people along or dragging them over the line anyway and getting everybody across? Yeah, that's not really good. Let's say not proper consent. So yeah, there's plenty of agenda items for upcoming governance sessions. Let's put it like that. And this is just me somewhat casually trying to recap it. So if I'm skipping on items or topics, or you feel something is not getting the coverage it should, please feel free to speak up right now. Or if you happen to have any questions or funny, go for it.
Just that one thing that I think a couple of people said we need to pay attention to making sure that people feel they can object. There was just questions about whether people feel okay about doing so or safe to do so or whatever.
Yeah, Yeah, that's also one of the things that got noted as a upcoming topic during governance. But yeah, it ties into the anonymity side of things. We did include a questionnaire which people indicated they would be fine sharing their opinion. Some indicated they might hold back a little bit. But yeah, nobody super strongly was like, okay, it's not anonymous, I'm not going to do it. And based on that, we basically went with the non-anonymous variety. But still, yeah, like you mentioned, I kind of do feel there were more people speaking their minds without regards of like any repercussions because it's anonymous. So there was like literally no reason to hold back, and that in itself is very strong. In an ideal scenario, you would have people feeling safe enough to do so regardless of being anonymous. But yeah, Tiffany?
And also, there's a flip side, isn't there? Sometimes if it's anonymous, people will say stuff that has very little grounding in fact because they know no one can call them on it. But yeah, I think it's maybe we should decouple that conversation from the question of anonymity or not, because I think we've kind of decided that we're gonna continue with non-anonymity. That's what people have seemed to be in favour of. It does occur to me though, we asked people what they thought of anonymity, and if they were really not very keen on not being anonymous, they wouldn't answer, would they? So we've kind of
Well,
got
we
skewed
made sure that
data, haven't we?
I think that, well, let me make sure. Yeah, okay. So, well, that was the reason this was hosted on my personal account, so it wouldn't be at least, and you're right, that doesn't make it anonymous, but that does make it one person in the world able to see it, being me, rather than the shared Ambassador Gmail account. That was what.
No, I suppose I just mean, if somebody felt that way, they probably would just go, "Oh, I'm not even bothering with the form because I know it's not anonymous." I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, to me personally, I don't feel like we should never retouch on the topic and yeah, I don't know. I would personally be quite open to, I don't know, experimenting with like optional anonymity, see what that brings. Uh,
That's going to be great if you can do that in the governance dashboard when the time comes. That'll be amazing. But I still think, it's something that you say often, Guillermo, is the idea that, a mature um, community, you can bring difficult topics up even if it's not anonymous. I'm not sure. I think sometimes that I feel that is too idealistic, but I do see your point. And I just think we've got to think about, okay, so what structures and systems and processes would make it easier if we're going to maintain non-anonymity? How are we going to make it safer? And the difficulty is that people who don't feel comfortable are probably not going to come along and join the discussion, are they? So we're guessing all the time.
Yeah, yeah, I believe we are going to be able to track engagement and to build our reputation even if we use anonymous or non-anonymous. You can click, decide which way you want to go, because we were discussing this technically earlier this morning. And we're going to be able to do that and track, not to kill whatever reputation um, if you click anonymous, okay? But it is idealistic. I don't know if that's a real, I think it's more corporative because at the end in an organization that is going for profit, maximum results and this and that, it is it is the it's the freaking flow, so you need to, but here is a different approach. I believe that we of course be mature and be able to brainstorm and be critical, but we are not a corporation. And if you track our engagement in governance, probably there's some rally, there's some camaraderie, there's some wanting to do better. There's a lot of things that I don't know. As I always say, if we focus on doing good stuff, we will avoid discussing not discussing the problem, but building a problem. In this case, I believe, and I felt some members don't feel comfortable saying through governance. They don't. It's not a thing of having the opportunity to talk or not. Sometimes they decide not to. But that's a feeling.
Yeah, it makes sense. One thing I kind of feel like we could think about introducing in the next iteration, then I guess. Yeah, maybe we should be giving an anonymous way of participating, because I don't know, I'm quite interested to see what then, if it's like an optional thing. Okay, one step back. So to me, the most annoying part about anonymity is that if you want to resolve a certain objection, you don't know who to talk to, and you just have to hope they sit in a room and break their own anonymity, and then interact with the work group to discuss whatever the objection is. That's a bit annoying. At the same time, if it's holding people back from actually sharing how they feel about stuff, like that's way more valuable to me, getting that feedback. So yeah, I don't know. And there's the whole verification thing. Like, you do want to make sure that somebody's actually a core contributor, and you do want to make sure somebody's actually the one core contributor he says, and not, you know, throwing it through some character, throw it through a LLM and then pretend you're five different writing styles, and all of a sudden there's a block of people arguing for one person's cause. So that's the downside of like full anonymity, uh, or one of them at least. I don't know. I do feel we could still try and find some space for facilitating that. Vanessa?
It feels like it might be like a two-pronged thing. Like maybe the purpose of the consent process is becoming something else. It's kind of like I was saying in the meeting, it's like more informational. And if unless somebody can see like a really obvious reason why you shouldn't get your budget, with budget caps as well, there's probably not going to be one. And then it's about a separate discussion outside of the discussion of budget about the sort of things that people are bringing up when they object. And maybe if that is not connected with the budget process, then it can be anonymous, because it's not about trying to say, well, does this group get its budget or not? It's not a consent process on that. It's just more of these are some issues that people want to raise, and it doesn't matter who said it, because it's not about has it been resolved to that person's satisfaction. It's more like they've just put a process in motion. Everybody in a meeting might turn around and go, no, that's rubbish, or they might go, oh yeah, I think that's a fair point. And it goes from there, and it's more like a consensus process.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I can definitely see it moving that way. At the same time, I can't help but think we would be, I don't know, we spent quite a lot of time hashing out this consent process, and we do make small changes and improvements, I feel. So yeah, in a way, it kind of would feel like just letting go of that.
Oh no, I'm not suggesting we'd let go of it. I think we'd still use it for budget consent, but I don't know, it might be different types of issues. I think, some of the things that people raise in the consent process, I would question whether they are really um, things that you would want to stop somebody getting their budget for. Like, oh, I don't think they laid out their budget sheet very well. Okay, maybe they didn't, but it shouldn't stop them getting their budget, should it? Or, oh, there was a typo in their um, quarterly report. Yeah, and
Okay, I get what you're saying. Can't help but finding that last example a bit on the ridiculous side, of course. But no, I get what you're saying. Guillermo?
Yeah, so we need another section. So what it's because we're always concentrating our governance in quarterly. We are thinking quarterly. Okay. But what if we extrapolate a concern that should probably is not addressed or part of the quarterly budget consent process. So we give another space of discussion to address positive or negative of an independent issue as whatever issue. Because that way we give a room for people to openly discuss and bring topics, probably a lot of good stuff to point out that we can use. And if pointing and addressing some concerns that are valuable, probably they are not contained in the context of the quarterly report, which is a different dynamic. That one thing, more work for the thing, damn. And the other thing, but I kind of slow, this freaking ibuprofen made me slow. But you, Bunny, said something else, or you, Pete, you mentioned something about the consent we are building. I think we have been, it's great stuff. Yeah, why not try consent in independent issues, not quarterly? Probably it's going to bring a lot of, and apply a different kind of quorum or not even a quorum at all. I don't know.
Vanessa?
Yeah, because like a classic consent process is usually it's in a meeting. I think we've kind of really stretched it to its limits by using it with this, the Google form and the whole process. If it was more like, okay, such and such a work group has had issues raised about this particular thing in several quarters, maybe we need to sit down and thrash it out. And it's those who are interested to come to that who get to take part and to comment. And it's like maybe the work group would have stuff to say about it and have suggestions from their own side, but it's the people in the meeting that we'd be saying, well, do you have consent to the way they're going to deal with it in future? I suppose the only thing about that is it could end up with it feeling like the meeting is attacking the work group, and that would be horrible. But I don't know. It sort of feels like there are issues that have been raised again and again, either about specific work groups or just generally as something that we as a program are not doing that well. And we kind of need to find other ways to surface them because just having them brought up again and again in the consent process and then, yeah, everybody abstains and the work group's budget passes. It's not really helping anybody. It's like a lot of effort for no real results.
Yeah, fair. All right. Perhaps someone in the room that hasn't spoken yet feels like sharing a bit how they feel about it. Not to put you on the spot, but there's some co-contributors in the room, so I do see in chat tracking objections as a start by Daniel. Also, I've been thinking of putting workgroups with a reoccurring objection under review. Yeah, fair. I mean, it's kind of connected, right? If you also a follow-up question there by Vanessa on who would run the review process there. True and interesting. I don't know, I guess by definition, if you have a recurring objection which is not getting addressed, yeah, that in itself, like you're not keeping track of the objections without then doing something with it. So that would lead to some review, I guess, or at least making it quite clear to the work group, like, what's up with this? And I mean, if it was easy to solve, supposedly it wouldn't be a recurring objection. So there might be different reasons why an objection is recurring. For example, if an objection isn't getting addressed, that would qualify there, I guess. But also it might be simply a different point of view on whatever the topic is. Um,
Or we need some sort of a way of track. You know, when we have a meeting and we say, okay, this is the objection for this work group, and they go, oh, yeah, 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 we'll fix that. And then they don't. We've got to have some way of tracking whether they did what they said they were going to do.
yeah, true. Can only agree with that, of course. And I also see now the chat moving on critical friends approach. Yeah, could see that working. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
I like I like the plural on the friend, critical friend, because if we keep it with one friend, like the idea of a rotative council that represents all work groups and guilds, even the one that can have a concern and have an issue, so would be represented in a discussion. Because we can point back today, last year, Q3, Q4, concerns being addressed, point out. So today we don't have nothing happened in that behalf. So it's not only tracking them, we know they're there. I know the time, but yeah, and to keep it plural, if we make it more than three, that's a problem to having 21 heads, 21 work groups. Okay. But we can compartment them and identify them in communication or whatever operational, and have somebody that represents in this kind of discussion. Have like a two-step thing to follow up on. Because when you say something also, and sorry, I'm going to jump. I don't know how much time do you spend on reading the report, not even writing them, because I know you don't use AI. I do, but I read them and I put some inputs and I go. I spend some time on building the report, but I spent really a big amount of hours through the consent and the whole thing. At the end, that's the most disappointing. Probably is the right word. I don't know, it's fairness or what. I don't know, because it feels useless at the end if we don't kind of, it's like the report thing. We spend time and then whoever needs to drop the thing, it doesn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know. I just want to focus on building something that we can use and doesn't end up in the same thing. So yeah, I think we're getting there.
I do sort of wonder, sometimes it takes a long time because I think it was Tevo that has raised this several times. There's not enough connection between the quarterly report and the budget. So you look at the budget and then you go, okay, so I need to check in the quarterly report from the last time what that is actually about. And then sometimes it's not there. And yeah, there's a disconnect between them. It just needs to be bloody clearer, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why integrating Treasury on the dashboard is going to be crucial, because the exercise I did is read the report, go to Treasury tool, Wallet Treasury dashboard, go to the work, kind of trying to see some traceability, deliverables. So it really integrates the whole freaking thing. It takes some time.
Yeah, and if we make it too tightly integrated, then it doesn't leave room for things to develop and change through the work, which maybe is not as important for some kind of work groups as it is for others. But, the discursive ones like governance, I don't know, maybe what we do changes because of the conversations we have. And certainly in developer work groups like R&D or archives or whatever, what we build comes out of the work we do. So trying to say at the beginning, oh, we're going to do this really specifically might not be that useful.
Well, I can't help but note that I do think pretty much everybody agrees that tracking objections over time is the way to go. So um, also want to somehow make sure it's not just pushing it to like, oh, we're gonna have a dashboard, you fix it. That's a bit of a trap, right? I think we should also do it manually, and we do get quite a bit of objections, but at the same time, it's not like I think it's not more than well, let's say 20 per quarter. So in theory, that they're all in documents and should be doable to also have at least some tracking done manually before fully depending on a app that's in development. I mean, I trust in
No,
your.
we're doing it. We're working. We will have something to share on Thursday on that. Very manual process, but it's something.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, looking at the clock, kind of thinking how to proceed it. Well, in a way, it's perfect that you bring it up like this. Like, do join in on Thursday if you want to hear more about this. Um, yeah, I guess that kind of gives a little bit of an. It covers the slide, let's say, and the next slide is the open topics slide. So I do want to put a before wrapping up, put a check to the room on. Yeah, basically, if anybody has something to share, to ask, to wants to introduce themselves, anything goes. All right. If something pops up, clearly we do use Discord, so don't hesitate to ask any questions you might have. And I think with that, it's time for a wrap. So yeah, hope to see you on one of the 8 more community calls coming up this week. And yeah, if not on one of those, then we'll talk on Discord. Thanks a lot for being here and sharing your time, and do have a nice remainder of the second half of 2025.